After watching this interview with Alex Hernandez, who's an actor who also played a Lincoln Clay in Mafia 3, and of course Jacob Jacob in a Mind's Eye. I I have to say I have like the utmost respect for this guy. He's definitely one of my favorite personalities on the internet right now. Not just like as an actor, but also as an individual because I really like his mindset. His mindset is exactly like my mindset. Like it's almost like we think alike. And I'll play this interview. So this is the guy who played Jacob. Okay, uh, Jacob Diaz from Mind's Eye, and he talks about his experience with the game and how he feels about all of the stuff that has happened with the recent disaster that happened with Mind's Eye. So without any further ado, let's kind of listen to what he's saying, and then I'm going to give you my feedback and my comment on it. Hold on a second. I believe I forgot to. Just 1 second. Here we go. That's better. I forgot to turn on the audio. Here we go.
Element in which I saw it because I've been on this project since 2021. It's been a long
Mm.
time. It's been 4 years. They were already developing. This is how it always works. Like I'm brought into the process a few years down the line of them already having worked some things out from a narrative and from a gameplay perspective. It's not like
Mm.
I'm brought in day one, right?
Yeah.
And so they'd already been working on it for many years. And as I was being shown things, let's say a year into the process, 2 years into the process, 2.5 years, all that, everything for the time period where I was like, oh, there's like 3 years left. This looks great. Like this
Mm.
looks fun. Yeah, yeah, it's a little rough for like the animation here is not perfect or like, yeah, that was a little janky in this part, but there's another 2 years. Like this looks good for where it's at, right?
Mm.
Um, and so I have no idea, and I have no idea what their process is. That's not something that they share with me, and nor doesn't really make sense. I don't want to say it doesn't make sense, but it is not a necessary part of my job to be shown that.
Mm.
And so I don't push for it because that I'm not the game director. I'm not the gameplay designer. I'm not the gameplay. I'm
Of
not even a
course.
QA
Yeah. Yeah.
tester.
Yeah.
Um,
Um. Why do you think the gamers are really hating on it though? Do you think it's because there's a Rockstar, games worker working for them, or do you think it's an ex-producer from Rockstar Games that is doing the game, or do you think it's just because it doesn't work at the moment? If that makes sense.
I,
I don't know if it was the
like,
producer or director from
yeah,
Rockstar Games.
it's the CEO of the company.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
I think it's, like everything, it's mixed, right? I'm sure there's some amount of people that whenever you leave a pre-established franchise, they're going to associate you with that. Expect the same thing,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Rockstar has, and that franchise in particular has a ton of money. You know what I mean? They, to use the phrase colloquially, they have more money than God. Like they have the ability to throw money at a problem in the same way that a major movie studio could, right?
Mm.
And to expect the same level of budget or problem solving from a studio that is brand new and much smaller as of now, right? It's just not realistic. That's not a realistic consumer expectation.
Mm.
Um, and at the same time, as a consumer and as a gamer, like I said, I would share the frustration. I do share the frustration of being like, this game is glitchy. Yeah, I don't care who you are. Like, I don't care if this is your first game, your 100th game. If it's glitchy, right?
Mm.
So, and there's multiple truths because there are going to be people who have a vested interest just because they have a least. It's just like Kendrick versus Drake, for example. Like, some people are going to hate on Drake because they love Kendrick. Some people are going to hate on Drake because they actually just hate his music. Some people are going to hate on Drake because it's fun.
Mm.
All of that is fair game. For the
Yeah.
record, I'm not a Drake fan myself. But it's because, particularly, I don't like his music. It's not
Yeah.
because of like I don't care where he's from or what he did before. I just happen to not vibe with his stuff.
Mm.
And I'll be honest, I think that I don't know that it necessarily matters. Like, why? Well,
Mm,
as someone who creates things for a living and views himself as an artist, like I don't view myself as a worker,
mm,
even though acting is my job. I'm an artist, so I care more about the process of creating something and then the conversation that happens afterwards than I do about micromanaging people's responses. So, for example, I would be more interested in asking that question to the person who doesn't like the game than anyone involved. I don't really care. Like for me
mm,
specifically, I don't care about my own opinion as to whether or not I think people are hating on Leslie because he is who he is or hating on the game because of him. I care more about asking them that question
mm,
because I would like to say, "Hey, are we able to divorce the the product from the person? And if so, what about the product? Because in the future, as an artist, as someone who cares deeply about what he makes, what can I fix for you in the future for the things that I make? Not fixes in patches and fixes in like how we are talking about, quote, fixing a game, but like how can I, as an artist, be more mindful of what I put out in the future? So if there are things that you don't respond to that I feel like are within my control, so if someone was like, I feel like the actor who played Jacob just didn't get the emotional gravitas of this story. I can work on that. If someone just says, I think that guy was kind of a punk, I can't work on that. I don't, I'll put it frankly, Lloyd. I don't care about that opinion. There's not enough nuance in that opinion for me to do anything about it. It's not an action item. And the reality is, like, you're entitled to that opinion just as much as the other person.
yeah.
A consumer or a human is entitled to that subjective experience just as much as someone else who I might actually be like, oh, I can interact with that. Like that means something to me. Let me do. So in the age of the internet, I think it's a fool's errand for me to try and figure out like why are people hating on it? The response is like they are, and they are vocal enough to let you know at least consciously why they are hating on it. They're saying something like, it's all these glitches. I think the narrative has plot holes. I think this, I think that. And other people who are saying, I love it. I'm having a great experience. And actually, I'm not experiencing the glitches. I'm not experiencing this, that, or the other. I actually don't mind that there's like a limited selection of weapons. I like the driving. I like this stuff. I love your character. Like,
Mm,
I, as an individual, I'm lucky enough that if someone seeks me out to engage with me, it is often positive. It is
mm,
often someone who wants to say something kind and about how they have enjoyed their experience. I'd also be blind to ignore the voices that aren't coming to seek me out specifically on Instagram or on other forms of social media to say, "Hey, I'm not having a good time," or like, "This is what I find wrong," and blah 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 blah.
mm,
I really respect his honesty. The one thing about Alex is it's his honesty. You know, he understands. Hey, you know, this really sucks because he's a gamer as well. He's a consumer, and he knows the pain that we feel. Like he doesn't like the fact that hey, that they are releasing the game knowingly, making that conscious decision knowingly, knowing that the game is broken and it's not finished and they're going to release it out there. He's not okay with that. He's not fine with it. I love his honesty. You have to remember, he started doing the motion capture back in 2021. So he had no idea, like, you know, how this whole process is going to come about, right? What Leslie was doing behind the closed doors, right? So he wasn't privy to all of that. Okay, now he had no idea that that the game was going to be released the way it was going to be released, and sure, he's not happy about it. This is not something that he's proud of, because he worked really hard on this character, and now the game, it's a disaster, and it didn't need to be a disaster, right? Uh, but he actually said this early on, dude. Like in the beginning of the, I'll take you back right here. In the beginning of, the interview, he clearly stated like this is wrong, and that's what I respect about Alex Hernandez is, even though he worked with Built a Rocket Boy and they treated him great. It was a great experience. He went to Scotland. to do the motion capture. But he's like, hey, I understand perspective of consumers. Like, you're selling me a unfinished product, and that's not cool. And that's what I said. That's never going to be cool. Even he said, and you're going to hear this from his mouth, from Alex's mouth. Even he said, don't release a unfinished game and charge people full price. Now, if the game is not finished, hey, do an early access. Sell it for like 15 bucks, 19 bucks, or whatever. Something cheap, 15, 20 bucks, right? And let people know this is a beta early access. Okay, we're doing a open beta early access. It's gonna cost you 15 bucks or 20 bucks, whatever. Then okay, people wouldn't have any issues with that. Oh, they understand it's an early access. But when you release a game as a finished product, right? And you put it out there and then it's clearly unfinished, that's a big problem. That's a big issue. And that's what Alex is saying here as well. So I want to play this clip right here. It's right here in the beginning, I believe. And this is what Alex says, to what I was actually saying.
Or are you still happy? Yeah.
I mean, it's had a complicated reception because whenever you work on something for many years, regardless, I work with good people who are trying to do a good thing, and so like there's a pride in games are hard, man. Games are hard to produce, just like films. It's a really huge undertaking to get one off the ground at all. So I'm proud of the people that I worked with. It's a shame that the gameplay in particular has received such negative reception and such. Yeah, I mean, in terms of bugs, as a gamer myself, I completely understand the frustration. Like, there's no, to me as a consumer and as a gamer, there's a shared frustration and like, why would you as a company release something that seemed to not be ready in that way? In terms of people's opinions about the gameplay itself, I'm a big proponent of like everybody has an opinion, everyone's entitled to have different tastes, to like different things. So if you put the bugs aside, like whether or not people are into it, that's between them and them, right?
Yeah.
Because for example, I'm not such a big fan of let's say like a multiplayer shooter like Call of Duty or something like that, or like when my friends were all into PUBG. It's just not my thing. So even if the gameplay is great, I'd be like, yeah, it's fine. It's a shooter. You run around, you do the thing. The map shrinks, whatever. I don't care for that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
So in that, I have no response other than like enjoy what you enjoy. In terms of the story and the cinematics, I actually find there's a couple of glitches that I find pretty amusing.
Yeah.
Like there was one that was circling about Seb and like how sort of I don't know, like H.R. Geiger, he like turns into this weird creature because
He was referring to Seb. Seb, remember, it's his friend. Remember his friend in a game, Seb, that gave him the job to work at the Marco Silva company. And there was a glitch where it stretches out, and it is a glitch. It happened early on when the game was released on June 10th. Look, I agree with everything he's saying. He's essentially saying, I'm not okay with this. I don't approve of this. Yeah, he worked for the company. He was hired to do the job. He's an actor. He was also in some movies and some TV shows. You probably have seen him in some TV shows, and I think most recently you might have seen him in Vin Diesel movie. He was with Vin Diesel in a movie called The Bloodshot. Actually, I've seen The Bloodshot a few more times. Actually, it's not. It's the more you watch it, it kind of gets better the more you watch it. But you have to watch it more than once. But he was in it. It's probably an underrated movie, honestly. I think it was better than The Fast and the Furious. Okay. But anyway, we're not here to talk about The Bloodshot. You can go watch The Bloodshot. So he was in there. Of course, Mafia 3. He was in Mafia 3. I liked Mafia 3. He played Lincoln Clay. Uh, and there was a great connection there between Lincoln Clay and Vito Scarletta. So, I have Mafia 3. I have it. I mean, I have you know, I have the disc. I believe I still do. Yeah, I do. I do. Why, you guys want to see it? Oh my God. Jose, are you watching this, Jose? Why are people doing this to me? Oh, show me the proof. Yeah, I'll show you the proof. Just so people don't breathe down my neck. Oh, he doesn't even have I have Mafia 3. Calm down. Calm down. Here we go. Hold on a second. Oh my God. It's down at the bottom, but I have Mafia 3, guys. All right. If I tell you I have something, I have it. Why would I lie? People who have been watching my channel for 12 years, they know I'm not a liar. They know I'm not a liar. Why would I lie, dude? Why would I lie? You see, all these newcomers who never heard of me, and that's okay. You don't know that I've been doing this for 12 years. You don't know that I have over 8.8 thousand videos. It's okay. You don't know me. I know you're going to have your little knee-jerk reaction comments. I get it. But just remember, I'm not a liar. If I say something, you can take it to the bank. Okay? My problem is I don't know how to lie. Okay? I wasn't raised that way. To lie. All right? I know there's people out there lying, but not me. All right, so he was in Mafia 3. Okay, he was in, some other projects, TV shows. What I'm trying to say is essentially this. I agree with everything that Alex Hernandez has said here. And it's good to see that someone like him, it's not shilling for, like, a studio. You know what I mean? Majority of actors, usually they shill for the studio. They shill for creative director, excuse me for burping, creative directors and production. He's not that type of a guy. Now, he says, making a video game is not an easy thing to do. Doing a motion capture, acting, and any kind of like a creative process takes time. It's not an easy thing to do. And there's a lot of great talent out there, and it's not an easy thing to do. So he's proud of that experience. But he does question, like, responsibility. Like, why would you do this? We worked really hard on this project. That we put our heart and soul into this motion capture. And you as a creative director, again, we have to point the elephant in the room. Leslie Benzies, all of this blame points back to Leslie Benzies. He's the CEO of the company. He makes the final decision. And why did he make a decision? A conscious decision to release the game unfinished. Guys, there's only one man who can answer that question. Okay? And that man is Leslie Benzies. There's only one man who can answer that question. That's Leslie Benzies. He cannot answer that for you. He doesn't know. The only person who can answer that question, if he ever answer that question, is Leslie Benzies. That would be my first question I would ask Leslie Benzies. Sir, with all due respect, you have an amazing resume. You worked on all of these games for Rockstar. That's amazing. But sir, having this experience and this resume that you have, and you start up this new company called Built a Rocket Boy, why would you make a conscious decision to release a game unfinished? That would be my very first question. And the only man who can answer that is Leslie Benzies. Why he did it? Would he ever answer that question truthfully? Probably not. Would he dance around that question? Probably he would. So I don't think you'll ever get like an honest answer from Leslie. Look, it's sad. I feel bad for him, for Alex. I feel bad for other actors because you can tell that they all put a heart and soul into this project. They really, really have put a heart and soul into this project, and it's a damn shame that you know Leslie Benzies didn't care much about that. It just is really, it just. I'm shaking my head just like you guys. Like, why? It's like that question, why? Why, dude? Why? When something doesn't make any sense, it's hard for my brain to process that. Like, even for him, like, why, dude? Why would you jeopardize this? Why would you, all the hard work we put into it, man, since 2021, and now you have to lay off hundreds of employees? Why would you do this, man? Why? Why? Again, I don't know. You have to ask Leslie Benzies that question. So anyway, great interview. I'll leave a link down below. You guys can watch the whole thing. I mean, everything he talked about here, I agree. I agree with everything he said. And I guess we can listen to it a little bit more before we end the video.
The thing stretches his face out all funny. I actually kind of like that stuff. Obviously, it's not on purpose. That's a bug. But I find that amusing rather than being disappointed or frustrated by that. It's just kind of like, all right. And I loved working on it. Like I loved the people that I was with. The cast itself was great. Everyone showed up and gave their all and was a decent human being. We had no assholes, which I'm really grateful for. And I had a blast working on it. Build a Rocket Boy treated me very well. They were very kind to me. In terms, as an actor, you know that you don't have necessarily as much creative direction as you'd like. It's not like I go in there and I go, this is what I think the story should be. But they did allow me opportunity to give feedback, and I did when I felt appropriate about many of the developers were from the UK, and so they'd ask questions that are like, does this feel American? Does this feel blue collar? Does this feel like a soldier? Does this feel like something that someone from his background would say? And there were many times where I was like, no, and then they change it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate they were open and receptive to the feedback that was like, actually, that doesn't sound like us in the States. That sounds very British or very thing.
You're allowed to improvise on the game then, so that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and allowed to have a creative voice within the structure. It's not like I was sitting in the writer's room. I think ideally, like, because I have the mind of someone who writes and directs as well, that would be cool if I ever had a project, whether it was game, a TV show, a film, whatever, where you get to sort of be on the ground floor of creating the narrative as well. But they treated me very well, and they gave me a lot of freedom to do my thing, and I did that to the best of my ability.
I mean, the cutscenes are still outstanding because I did have a little go on it, and it is like amazing of what it has sort of like potential. Do you know what I mean? It still is potential. It still is a really good game that can be played. Did you expect the outcome of the game when it released?
No,
Yeah.
to be honest, like
The team, do you
you're
think?
thinking narrative wise, like the end of the
Yeah,
story.
like
Is that
I
what you
mean, just
mean?
oh no, I mean just like all of it, like the quality and the glitches and the problems with the game. Did you expect all that and the team?
No, no, and I mean, I narrative and gameplay is kept very separate, right? Like, so I'm working with the cinematographer, the on-set director, the writers.
Hmm.
It's not as I'm introduced to the team mostly because I ask. I'm like, hey, I'd love to meet the people who are developing slash working on the physics, or um, folks who play with my model and my appearance and all that sort of stuff. But it's not as though I don't see them day to day, so I get very little feedback or
Mm.
information in terms of like how is all of that going, right? You
Mm.
focus on just like any large enterprise. I have no idea actually how many employees, but in that building day to day, there were, at least 200 people.
Yeah.
So it's not as though I'm interacting with each of those people on a day to day basis, getting little updates that are like, here's how everything's going. And so when the game came out, obviously you're very excited. It's just this moment that's been years in the making, and then to receive the feedback that was like, oh, this is glitchy, and it's
Mm.
glitchy, and I'm being like, wait a minute, what? That's not what I was
Yeah.
expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think not for nothing, there's something to be said about the model of studios releasing these games. I don't know whether it's not a lack of QA. I met the QA testers and they seem competent at their job. But for whatever reason, the company deciding to release something that has these issues, um, and then sort of taking care of it post mortem, post release. I obviously we were not the first game to do that. Like a very notorious example is Cyberpunk, and there have been others.
Mhm.
Um, and as a gamer, as a consumer, I don't love that. I
Mm.
don't love that model. I don't like that um, moving forward. I'm not a business person, so
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
also want to be very clear that I have no idea why that decision gets made.
Mm.
I will just say that from a consumer perspective, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, I think it does more long-term harm than good to your reputation
Mm.
to release something that feels like it is in a state of less than 100%
Mm.
and then charge 100% of the price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think you have to be honest with your consumer. And in fact, like I, as a player, would rather be told this is in beta. Like I know you've been waiting for this for a long time, but this is a beta release of this game. And so whether it's you get to play it for free on some sort of invite list
Mm.
or it's $20, $30, $15, what insert price. I don't know what the model would be, but like it's a much smaller fee. Know that this shit isn't done. No, it's not done. So please come interact with our thing, give us feedback, but no, it's not done. And obviously beta is a thing like that
Mm.
is a already pre-established practice. And so I'm not sure what drives companies to essentially carry out beta testing like without calling it that.
Yeah.
Um, I, as a consumer, would rather be told would rather have someone be upfront because then I know what I'm signing up for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but
Do
that's just
you
me.
do you think they knew about the problems within the game before they released it? Do you think they were aware that it would be the turn
I
up?
can't really speak to that to be honest.
Mm.
I like truly don't have the day-to-day access or conversations with the higher ups
Mm.
like that.
Mm.
Um,
Exactly. I mean, he doesn't know. He's in a separate department. He's in the department of mocap, which is motion capture. So he's there in Built a Rocket Boy in Scotland. He doesn't have the interaction with the creative team who's working on building the game. So his job is just to do a motion capture, rehearse the script, work with the actors, rehearse the scene, the motion capture director. So he doesn't know, but he does ask the question. Like, he's not okay with this. That's what I like about this interview. He clearly has said it. I'm not okay with this. As a consumer, he said, as a gamer myself, why would you release a game like this, knowing that it has issues and problems? Why would you do that? So kudos to Alex Hernandez for being so upfront and honest. Hopefully, maybe something good comes out of this. Like, hopefully, a lesson has been learned, not just for Leslie Benzies, but like for future developers. You would think that they would have learned that lesson from Cyberpunk. I hope that the developers learn a very valuable lesson. If the game is not finished, don't release it. It's really that simple. That should be the golden rule. If the game is not finished, don't release it. If you need some help, well, put on a beta. Let's do some beta testing. Put on an early access. Let's work together, right? But don't release a game unfinished and then charge a full price. You know. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I found this interview so refreshing. It's like a breath of fresh air to hear it from him, from the man himself, from Alex Hernandez. It's really a joy to hear this from him. And I like him even more now. He has earned my respect, as I'm sure he will earn your respect as well after watching this video. I really hope that he gets a good project next time. Because I feel bad for him. First with Mafia 3, now this, MindsEye. I really hope that he gets a a good project next time, you know. And I wish him best of luck, man, with his career, because he's a talented actor. You can see that even in Mafia when he played Lincoln Clay, even here when he played Jacob Diaz in Mind's Eye, and even in the movie Bloodshot. You know, it was a small role, but still, you can tell that he has talent. And he's also a gamer. Like me, like you. He doesn't like this, you know. He's not okay with this. And this shouldn't be like a normal business practice for companies to think that this is okay to release the game unfinished. So hopefully maybe this is a learning lesson. If anything else comes out of this, it's hopefully a learning lesson. Let's not release a game unfinished. You know. So let's hope. Let's hope, right? All right, guys. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Man, I've been pumping out so many videos today. I forgot even which video is which today. I have so many videos. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.